All right, I guess switching topics here, we'll jump into the NHL because that's also tomorrow. So obviously, Game 1 was last night. Florida came out on top, or sorry, Vegas came out on top 5-2. Kind of an interesting series. I think Vegas is definitely the better of the teams. Obviously, I think Florida definitely is a good team as well. Last year, they were President's Trophies winners, coming in as that last spot in the East. I think people and teams that they were playing kind of forgot who they were. So, but I'm just kind of on the same line of like the NBA that the miracle's kind of over. I think, you made it to the finals. You played very, very well, but I think it just feels like, Vegas has that team this year to do it. Last night, I know you had a couple bets in play that you can talk about if you want, but I think you've had a pretty good read on the playoffs so far, so I think it'd be interesting to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, after a pretty rough regular season, nice to bounce back with the playoffs. But yeah, I mean, here's one thing I want to say actually about the Miami series too, and like it correlates with Florida, is like we were talking about live betting and how bad it is and how I do it way too much and stuff. But like one thing is about like they'll keep on talking about a team like them being the same team as they were in the regular season. You know what I mean? Like people will talk about Florida as being the 8th seed, but can we really use them as that anymore when they took down the Bruins, the Leafs, then they swept the Hurricanes kind of where they are right now. But Bobrovsky's the answer. Bobrovsky's the guy, and you look against Carolina. Carolina struggled to score. I think Toronto struggled with the physicality of Florida, and every single game, even though it was a gentleman's sweep, in that Toronto versus Florida series was a really close game.
Yeah.
Like they won, and same thing almost with the Carolina series. Like Florida has won a lot of clutch games. That's really the biggest difference, is that I know for the NBA I was saying that those don't matter like how you win, but I think in the NHL you look at it and you look at how Florida was kind of just getting by in all these games, even though they swept somebody. Like cracked me up when Rod Brendamore, the coach of the Hurricanes, was like, we didn't get swept. We just lost 4 games to nothing. It's like, bro, that means you got swept. You know what I mean? Like, he pretty much was trying to say they didn't get embarrassed, but they kind of did, But I think that as from a betting perspective, obviously it's a gambling podcast. I think that unders benefit Florida and overs benefit Vegas. So if you like Florida at this point and you want to get that plus money, I don't think there's enough value on them to even on the money line. You want to look at Bobrovsky's save props, and you probably want to look at the under, because they're not going to be able to contend, I think, trading goals with Vegas. Although, actually, I got to say, I was impressed with Aiden Hill last night. He made some big saves.
A little unorthodox, but I think he made some big saves. He definitely
got the paddle out there.
Yeah, he definitely looked a little unorthodox.
But the first period overs are where I'm looking.
Yeah,
that's been my bet.
That was the bet that I wanted Andrew to tell you guys about, was the over 1.5 first period goals. Like, you've been living and dying by that, to be honest, and it's been paying off for you pretty well. I kind of fall under a similar mindset of, if Florida's going to win, probably going to be grinded out, ugly games. When Vegas gets going and they're in transition, I think it's going to be tough for Florida to contend. I think it'll be tough for them to kind of keep pace with them, like in a track meet sort of game where you're trading goals, like you said. But for the game on Monday, like, you said that you didn't see the value in the money line. I love Florida, a plus 120. I think it's a big bounce back game for them. I know that they can't go down 2-0. They can't go down 2-0. It doesn't matter what sport you're in when it comes to the finals. You cannot go down 2-0. It's too hard to come back. You need too many bounces to go your way. So I think Monday for sure I'll be and for the people that don't know, I've been on a little bit of a hiatus from gambling. I won really big one night, and it was after like a tumultuous week that basically it just brought me back to even, and I was like, you know what? Time to take a little break. So I haven't bet since the second game in the Colorado and Seattle Kraken series, which was like over a month ago.
I remember that.
Almost 2 months. I had a huge bet on them, way super uncharacteristic of me. Had to, it was basically chasing money back, which you don't want to promote, which is why I had to go into retirement. It was like, you know what, I'm going to take a little break, go on a vacation here for a minute.
I'm at his house and he's upstairs in his room. I'm watching the same game downstairs. He goes, "Nah, I'm sweating this out on my own."
Just upstairs in the dark, watching by myself, and the boys are over watching the game.
But my bad, I screwed the segue. I know you were trying to segue me there with that, but
yeah, no worries. And I'm just gonna give out one more bet, and then I'll save my series bet till we wrap this part up. But I really think Matthew Tkachuk's gonna score a goal on Monday. I think if he's gonna score. I think if they're gonna win, he needs to score and he needs to play well. I didn't really like the game that he had last night. I thought he was too big of a pest, and I know that's part of his game, but I think that like he got too into that role. It's like, have a little grit, have a little grind, have a little edginess to you, but like you are the best player on the team. It's a toss up between you and Barkov. I think it's Tkachuk. You need to play like the best player on the team. You can't be getting mixed up in every single scrum, punching Pietrangelo in the face after every whistle. Like, you need to be head locked in. How can I make a difference for my team? And I think he is much more of a value when he's playing that offensive style of game, driving hard to the net, being a net front presence, than being a guy that wants to go out there and mix it up and be an agitator. I think his value at plus 160, obviously not the best value, but I think still
not bad
for a guy like of his caliber that had over 100 points in the regular season. He has 21 points in the playoffs. I think he has 9 or 10 goals in the playoffs. I think it's a really, really good bet if you kind of think along my mindset that Florida's going to take game 2.
It correlates. His success correlates with Florida's success. They're going to live and die by him. He has a handful of overtime game winners. When they've won games, he's played well. So I like it. And I agree with what you said there. Like, I could tell you were like, how do I phrase this? But I agree. Like, him trying to be a shit disturber was a little bit too much last night. And I get it. It's game 1. You want to come and like act like you're not scared to be there. Like you're big for the moment. Because everybody kept on asking Florida, like, almost like, are you satisfied with the East? Because they were the only team that touched the trophy, right? The Eastern Conference, and Vegas didn't. They didn't even go near it. And Tkachuk had a good answer. He just said, like, yeah, we're proud of ourselves. You know what I mean? Nobody believed in us and stuff. But I think it's kind of time for Florida to stop rocking with that vibe and be like, you're there. Like, I know Tkachuk's been living and dying by the whole, like, nobody believed in us. Nobody believed in us. It's like, buddy, you're here now. Like that. This is your time. But what Jake, was trying to segue me into that I didn't really catch on to was pretty much just like during the regular season, the second periods are always the highest scoring periods, like especially with what the odds are for like each period's total. But what I've noticed is like the first period has kind of, after the first few minutes where it's guys out there just trying to get their first hits in and that kind of stuff, they're kind of been where the most chances have been created. And the second period is whichever team is leading, they protect that lead, I've noticed a little bit. And so it really seems to me that the second period's been a little more quiet, and then the third period, the team that's down is playing catch up. They're chasing the catch up, and then either they come back or we see a goal from the team ahead and like an empty net goal. And we saw that yesterday with it finishing 5-2. I think Riley Smith had the empty net goal. So, and the good news is with the playoffs, like nobody used to bet first period overs, unders, and that kind of stuff. Especially now with how common it is to have a 6 or a 6.5. Every NHL game during the regular season is a 6 pretty much for the total. But now that the playoffs have started and there's more defensive hockey, they're all 5.5s, which lead us to only getting like minus 120 or 1.8, 1.9 odds for this bet. So I like that one quite a bit. And honestly, I'm gonna run it again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And even for Vegas at home, they always come out on fire. And every game but one that they played against Dallas in the conference finals, the first period went over. And I believe that the full game went under 4 out of 6 times. So it's pretty crazy that the first period went over that many times, but the full game wasn't really going over. Yeah. You got anything for us?
Honestly, it's funny that because like I had an idea before kind of going in, and hockey isn't really my sport that I bet on. I sprinkle some stuff here and there when I see something I like. And the only thing I was going to say that I actually liked about this game, and to your point, it was Florida, like, I actually like the under. Like, the total under of being 5.5. I know, you were saying 6 in the regular season and everything, but hockey's a little bit different in the playoffs and everything like that. And I don't think Florida lets Vegas get that many goals game 2. And like to your point, Jake, too, they know they can't go down 2-0. I think it's going to be a fight. Do I think Florida wins? I don't know. I don't know if either of what will happen in terms of actually money line. So I like the under at plus 105 right now.
Yeah,
nice.
Under 5.5. I think that's good value.
And I think you're going to see a lot of, like Andrew said, like if Vegas is going to win, the over's probably going to hit. If Florida's going to win, the under's probably going to hit. So I think it just comes down to maybe who you like the most between any given game. If you like Florida, if you don't like maybe the odds on Florida money line, then maybe take the under. If you like Vegas, you don't like the money line, take the over. I think that's a really good recipe for some success. And I think too with this series in general, it's going to be physical. And I think with game 1, emotions were high. You could clearly see that Florida kind of got, let the emotions get to them. The way Bobrovsky's played since he's taken the net, it's hard to see him coming with a bounce back game, coming back next game and not having a bounce back game. It's hard to see him letting in another 4 or 5 goals. Like, I think he's gonna really lock in, and not to mention, like, they had that long layoff. And I think the guys on Sportsnet said it best when it started. Like, if you're Vegas, Bobrovsky was in that frame of mindset where it was like, I don't want to lose the net. I'm stopping everything. I'm playing out of my mind. The guy was talking about losing 10, 15 pounds a game from just sweat. What happens when you're out for, a couple days or a week? Like, you kind of lose that mindset. You kind of lose that, mental edge that you might have had. And Vegas were just throwing bodies at the net the entire game. And you could clearly see that maybe Bob wasn't ready for that. If, they would have only had like a 2 or 3 day break, maybe it would have been a little bit different. But just to give just to recap the 2 that I gave, and then I'll give my series bet if the boys have anything else that they want to add before we kind of just go into, we might not break it down as much, but just give maybe some picks throughout the week, because we're probably only going to do this once a week, maybe twice a week if there's something going on. With the summer, obviously it's a little bit slower. So the playoffs are for the NHL and the NBA finals are 2 big things right now. But obviously come football season, we're going to be a lot more dialed in. But I liked Florida money line on Monday, plus 120. I like Tkachuk anytime goal scorer right now. That's at plus 160. And then my series bet, which isn't something that I normally do. I'm not usually a futures guy. I know Andrew probably hates that about me. Andrew loves the futures. It's where all the value is. But I really like Vegas to win this series 4-2 at plus 400. I think it goes 6. I think Florida puts up a little bit of a fight for a while. They maybe steal one on the road tomorrow, and then they steal one at home. And then I think Vegas just kind of finishes them off. It's just going to be one of those series where I think Vegas ultimately is going to be too strong, too good, too offensive, and it's going to come down to whether Aiden Hill, play like he did in game 1. If he does, I think Vegas might even win this in 5. But my series bet, value bet, we'll call it, is 4-2 Vegas plus 400.
Yeah, I couldn't believe Aiden Hill the way he played, but that's really, what do you say, plus 500?
400.
Yeah, that's really good odds on that, plus 400.
That's on Bet365, by the way. Just, I know people use other books, but all of my odds will come from Bet365 for the most part.
I like what you had with Tkachuk having a big game. I'm going to just take his shots over 3.5 shots plus 100. I'm going to keep riding with the first period overs. I think that literally the game could go under 5.5, yet we still could see 1-1 or 2-0 after the first period. And I mentioned this pretty much all week last week about Conn Smythe Trophy winner. And people don't bet this as much. And the way I look at it is this. When you're so far now where we're in the actual Stanley Cup finals, you don't want to be betting the favorites, the top guys. You can a little if you wanted to, but I still think Marchessault, he was 7-1 before the game yesterday. He's now plus 450 after having a pretty good game yesterday. He's tied with Tkachuk as far as what the odds are. Tkachuk's plus 452, but to me, I look at heroics, and I think you look across the sports with NFL, NBA, across everything, really, even in soccer, you reward that you give that award to the guy that's had the big goals. Nobody cares if you scored a bunch of goals in the first period. You want to give the guy that scored the big goals, and Marchessault, I think he's at 8 or 9 goals now. He's been pretty good, so I guess my series long wager will be Marchessault at plus 450 to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. But tomorrow I'll go over 1.5 first period. I'll take Kachuk over 2.5 shots on goal. And I'm not there yet, but I might take a look at Vegas's team total under because I feel like that correlates with both what Jake likes and what...
That's an indirect fade. That's an indirect fade.
How's that a fade? He likes Florida.
I like Florida. You're taking Vegas team total under? Is that what you said, or over?
Under.
Oh, okay, I thought you said over. I was going to say...
Come on, bro. How's that a fade? I'm rocking with you.
Don't fade me like that.
I'm rocking with you.
I was going to say, definitely
team
don't
total
fade me
under.
like that.
I mean, honestly, it's funny because like I really didn't talk to you guys before going in, but mine kind of all correlate. Like I like the under at minus 5.5. Or sorry, under at 5.5. That's plus 105. And I actually like to parlay that with Florida covering plus 1.5 on the game. So that's plus 192. Both those together. I think Florida keeps this next game really close. I don't know if they win, but I don't think Vegas gets 5 goals next game. I don't see it. So yeah, I like those two for the game on Monday. I think that's kind of my way I'd go about it. Player props for me in hockey. I mean, sometimes I'll put some stuff on Stoner because that's my guy for undisclosed reasons. But
just your guy.
Yeah, just my guy. And then I actually also like the futures of Vegas winning 4-2 as well. Yeah, that's how I would go about it. It's the same story with me with Florida and Miami, both the Miami teams kind of coming in. Like, I think that overall, I think both the miracles kind of stop. I think they both had historic runs, right? Like, and that's where we were even talking a little bit off camera. Like, we got to give credit to these two teams for getting this far, but I think it stops. I think it ends here. Florida losing. I think Vegas takes it, 4-2. And then the under for next game for me is really my main thing.
I like it.